Hey folks, welcome to Moonshift Audio. My name's Jack, I'm a producer and mix engineer based in the UK. This week I want to talk about synths, instruments and hardware, and how they can help or sometimes hinder your productions. VST instruments are big business, and there are thousands of synths, samplers, and more sort of unusual kind of instrument options out there. If you've shown any interest in this stuff at all over the years, I wouldn't be surprised if you've been bombarded by YouTube and Instagram ads saying things like, "This new synth will finally give you that authentic sound you've been looking for," or "There's nothing quite as analog sounding as this synth," or just generally trying to tell you that this next VST instrument is going to be the answer to all your problems, and if you buy it, your tracks are suddenly going to be sounding exactly how you wanted them, and all of the sounds that you've been struggling to achieve are just going to be there at your fingertips. There are also whole channels here on YouTube that are pretty much dedicated to showing off the latest hardware and software that's coming out all the time, and all of this stuff is aimed at you, the people making music. So what's my opinion on all this? Well, as always, it's a bit mixed. I love synthesizers, and playing with synths has been a hobby of mine since I got into playing around with the synths in Reason when I was about 16. I got my first hardware synth when I was 18, and I never looked back. You can see behind me that I've accumulated quite a few toys over the years, and whilst I've had a hell of a lot of fun with it over this time, I do honestly find myself using a smaller and smaller selection of instruments as time goes on. So what's so good about getting a new instrument? Well, the first thing is it's fun, right? I refer to all this stuff behind me as toys, and sure, to some extent that's a joke. I mean, it is serious kit, and it does have some really useful functionality when it comes to making music, but it's definitely good fun too, you know, and getting a new synth can be inspirational, and it definitely helps keep things fresh. If you've been opening the same exact synth plugin for years, or you've just been working on the same bit of hardware over and over again, you can really get into the programming of it, and you can really learn to get the most out of these instruments that way. But sometimes when you get to that stage, especially with the more simple synths out there, which, don't get me wrong, are, I think, often some of the best, but it can sort of get to that stage where you feel like you sort of exhausted the possibilities of what you can do with that particular instrument. And if you've got to that stage, then getting yourself a new synth can feel really refreshing, and learning a new workflow is a nice way of getting your inspiration back. But what if you're not a total synth nerd? If you're not spending hours and hours learning every unique little function of the instruments you're working with, then the chances are that you're probably making use of the presets that come with the synth that you're using. And one thing I want to say straight away is that using presets is absolutely okay. I think some people can be pretty prejudiced when it comes to people using synth presets, but you know what? Fuck those guys. Presets have their place. I'm not into gatekeeping. I love geeking out and creating patches from scratch. I've got a free pack of Serum presets that I made down in the description of this video, and I'm currently working on another pack of free presets for Vital. I programmed a lot of synths over the years, and I find it really satisfying, but not everyone's into that. And if that's not you, then no worries. Just scroll through some presets until you find a sound that fits the track that you're working on and use it. Quite often I use presets myself. If I'm in the flow of a production and I need to pull up a sound, I'll either look for a patch that I've made myself on a pre-production day, or I'll just pull up a preset. The last thing I want to do in the middle of that creative flow is pull up a basic saw wave and spend half an hour crafting a keys patch. That, for me, is a great way to pull me out of what I'm doing and lose the big picture of the production that I'm working on. One thing that will really help you here, though, is learning some basic controls on a synth. In last week's video, I showed you what I think are some of the most useful parameters that you can learn to tweak on a synth, and that will really help you if you find a preset that's sort of like almost what you're looking for, but it isn't exactly right. With a few adjustments on some simple controls, you can really sort of zero in on the sound that you're looking for, and automation of some of those parameters will really bring your sounds to life. So yeah, presets are good. And when you buy a new synth, what do you get? New presets. Some synths are marketed specifically at certain genres, and if you buy one of those synths, then you probably will find that you get a nice bunch of sounds that are really usable for you. A lot of the time though, you'll get a new synth and it'll come with 200, 300, 400 sounds, and you'll spend like a couple of hours going through them all to find maybe 5 or 10 that would actually work with the style of music that you're making. Is that worth the 80 quid that you spent on that new instrument? Maybe, maybe not. If you ask me, a lot of the time when producers buy a new VST instrument, they might have been better off buying some new presets for a synth that they already have. If you look at some of the most popular digital synths out there, they are so versatile. Serum, Pigments by Arteria, and more recently Vital, which is completely free, are seriously powerful and seriously flexible. You can do almost anything on those instruments. They can sound clean or dirty, digital or analog, modern or shiny and warm and vintage. So if you've got your hands on one of those already, then I think you could almost argue that you actually already have all the synths you'll ever need. Important distinction here. That's all the synths you'll ever need, not all the synths you'll ever want. If you're anything like me, you're always going to want a new toy, and at the end of the day, we are all slaves to the capitalist system, and advertising works. For me at least, I have definitely experienced an element of kind of retail therapy. There's a nice feeling that comes with buying a new toy for yourself. Treat yourself. But I would also definitely recommend taking a look at some preset packs. They aren't usually expensive. Certainly they won't cost as much as a new synth would. And the best thing is that if you find a good one, you're probably going to end up with a whole bank of new sounds that are all really well suited for the musical style that you're actually working in. And this is why I think that sometimes getting a preset pack is better than buying a new instrument. When it comes to hardware, you could probably argue that this applies even more. Don't get me wrong, getting a new analog synth is a great feeling. I love all the instruments I've got behind me, and getting my hands on a fresh set of knobs is quite a special feeling. Phrasing there. But it's also a lot of money. My mixing desk has run out of channels. I'm running out of desk space. And actually, sometimes loading a bank of new sounds into one of the synths that I already have, it's kind of breathed new life into that box for me, and made me more inclined to go back and use it again after I felt like maybe I was kind of going off it. So where are some good places to look for presets? Well, I already mentioned my free pack of presets for Serum, which is linked down in the description, but there are countless others out there too. If you're making pop, then Make Pop Music have some excellent packs of sound for various pop genres, or if you're into techno and house, then I can highly recommend Audio Tent or Underground Sounds. Splice is also a great place to look for presets in all sorts of genres. They have presets out there for Serum, Vital, Native Instruments Massive, and quite a few other synths. Overall though, my advice if you're thinking that you might need a new synth, take a step back, have a think, and see if maybe you're just looking for more sounds. If that's the case, then you could save yourself a lot of money by buying some presets instead. You might even find yourself with more usable sounds as a result. That's it for this video, but I do make a new one every week, so please do like and subscribe for more tips, tricks, resources, and downloads from me at Moonshift Audio. Till next time.